Hey guys, my name is Matimio, and today I have taken up the Never Reload Weapon Challenge. If you have no idea how this works, it's pretty self-explanatory. I can never reload my weapon, so if I go through all of my rounds with my magazine and my primary, I have to switch it over to my secondary, and if I go through all of those rounds, I either have to pick up someone else's kit off of the ground, hope and pray that they have some rounds left in their primary weapon, or if I'm using a kit that has maybe like an RPG or the M320, switching over to that, and then pick up someone else's kit. And so essentially what this requires me to do is not only be extremely accurate, like there's a lot of times where I'm killing 3 people with my primary weapon, which is amazing when you're able to pull that off. I'm trying to conserve my rounds, but it also forces me to move around the map more. I have to go out in the open, I have to run towards someone's kit on the ground, because if I stay in my little nook and cranny, if I just patrol on the rooftops and never go down below, or I never go towards the action, eventually I'm gonna run out of my ammunition in my primary weapon, eventually I'm gonna run out of my secondary ammunition, and I'm gonna be left with no way at taking out my enemy. It is a really fun playstyle. It's not easy. This is a very difficult challenge. I do this every couple of years. I think the last time I did this was about 6 months ago. But every single time, it's a hell of a lot of fun because you never know what you're gonna get. Like every single time you jump on in and you try to undertake this challenge, sure, you have the consistency of the first weapon that you're gonna be using. I think I was mainly using the AEK and the F2000, but then after that, it's really depends on what your enemy has. And that's what makes it so much fun. You see a wide variety of different play styles. Like one time I picked up someone who was using the SKS with the infrared night vision scope. I see people using the canted iron sights, you know, just these cool weapons, wide variety of selection here. And it's like, yeah, this isn't optimal, but it's cool. It's just awesome to see that people are experimenting. They're using non-conventional loadouts, and it's just fun to pick them up and then try and master them and use them to take out my enemies. The one thing that I wanted to touch upon really quickly though is the netcode on some of these maps, and more specifically Pearl Market. I've been loving the Dragon Seed DLC. I love the infantry-based gameplay, but there's something about Pearl Market that just doesn't sit well with my computer or doesn't sit well with the netcode. I've gotten killed more frequently behind corners or kill trading with my enemy than on any other map, or it feels like on any other map in Battlefield 4, and so I don't know if this is just all on my end, but let me know down below if you guys have experienced this as well. Like I was trying to get gameplay for today's video, and I started off on Pearl Market, and I kept constantly trading with my enemies. I felt like I was playing Pokemon or something like that, and it was just a little bit ridiculous. And what's baffling about all of this is that I would say that DICE has done a phenomenal job at tightening up the netcode. The CTE servers has been a massive boon to the community. Like they have done a phenomenal job with the CTE servers to improve the game, but there's just something about Pearl Market. Like I don't know what it is, and it could just be confirmation bias. Like maybe I'm going into it assuming that there's going to be more kill trades, so I notice more of the trades, and maybe I just notice more of the issues, and it's not really all that prevalent, or you guys don't really notice it as well. And so let me know what your guys' experience has been on this map. Am I completely crazy? Is this just an issue on my end? I hope that's the case. I hope it's either just confirmation bias for me, or it's just all on my computer, because I wouldn't wish this upon anyone. Like getting killed around corners, dying instantly, and trading with your enemy isn't the most enjoyable experience. So once again, let me know down below in the comments. But with that out of the way, one thing that I noticed with this challenge is that when you pick up weapons in Battlefield 4, it takes a crazy amount of time for you to get it like up and ready to go. There were a lot of times when I took out a couple of people, I ran up to pick up their weapon, and then I noticed like 2 guys round the corner on me, and I was ready to go. Like in my mind, I was like, okay, let's aim down sight, let's take these guys out. But the game was like, no, 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 we're gonna take a couple of seconds before you even see the weapon, and another half a second for you to get the weapon in a position where you can actually shoot at them. And by that time, I was down on the ground and I was having a little nice little dirt nap. And that happened over and over and over again, almost to the point where I was like, really? Really, DICE? Is it gonna take me this long to get my weapon up and running? And what it really reminded me of was the way that the system worked in Bad Company 2, because back in Bad Company 2, it was the complete opposite. You probably saw a couple of montages, or maybe you didn't, because Bad Company wasn't as popular back then, but you may have seen some videos of some of the best Bad Company players where instead of reloading their primary weapon when a guy rounds the corner on them, they would just pick up the gun off of the ground ground, and because of the way that the mechanics worked and the way that the system worked back in that game, it was usually faster to pick up their gun and then take them out that way. And so you would see these incredible montages where people wouldn't reload. And this is actually where I got the idea for this challenge, was that you would have these Rambo moments where it's like, no, I'm never going to reload my weapon. I'm just going to keep picking weapons off of the ground and destroy everyone that I come across. It was way easier, or if I remember right, it was way easier back in Bad Company 2 because it was faster than having to reload. And if you were good at it and you mastered all the weapons, you could have just these fabulous kill streaks. It was awesome. And so bringing it on back into Battlefield 4, it was a little disappointing at times where I felt like I should be ready to go, but just because of the way the mechanics work in this game, you know, I got killed because of it. This could be one of the things that DICE tried to avoid with the current Battlefield titles. Maybe they didn't like that system back then, but I felt like it required a lot of skill. Like, I felt like someone who was able to master that system back in Bad Company 2 deserved the kills that they were getting. But maybe DICE didn't think that. Maybe that's the reason why it does have that massive delay. Another thing I noticed, which was a hell of a lot of fun, was the M26 darts. I did not realize how awesome this thing was. Like, you do have to give up your defibrillator or a med pack, which I know is a little worrisome to some players. But like, there were some times when I was like, I'm out of rounds in both my secondary and primary weapon, and then I switched it over to the third, and I was like, this probably is only decent. Like, I didn't think it was going to be all that impressive. But then I was just taking people out, one-shotting them at a fair distance away, and I was like, oh my god, where the hell has this thing been all of my life? And so I have a feeling, now that I've taken up this challenge, I've forced myself to try something new, that I'm going to be using the dart way more often than I did in the past. Like, this thing destroys people. Like, there were moments when I had to mentally force myself to pick up other people's weapons because I was getting too comfortable with getting a bunch of kills with my primary and then switching over to the M26 dart and getting even more kills. And it's like, yeah, I'm still in the parameters, I'm still within the guidelines of the challenge, but that's not why I do this. I do this to pick up other people's weapons. I do this to get out of my comfort zone and try something new. But with the loadout that I was using, like, I was just not expecting the M26 dart to be that good. But overall, if this sounds appealing to you, you're looking for some freshness and looking for some fun in your playstyle with Battlefield 4, I highly recommend that you give this a go. It will take some adjustment. It will take you a couple of rounds to get used to it because you're gonna feel naked half the time. Like, when you only have 15 rounds left in your magazine and you don't have the option to reload, and trust me, you're gonna have the instinct to reload. Like, there were so many times, like, right after I got a kill, I pressed the button, I was like, oh wait, switching over to the secondary, stop that reload animation, because you're gonna have the urge to do it. If you can get past that and you can get into the groove of just moving around the map and picking up other people's weapons, it is one of the most satisfying experiences. The game modes that I had the most success on was Domination Team Deathmatch because it keeps the action fast-paced, but you can pretty much do this on any game mode in Battlefield 4. Actually, I take that back. You probably don't want to play on Rush because Rush is more linear. If you run into the front lines of the enemy team after every kill, you're not going to last very long. But Conquest works very well. I did this also on Obliteration. That is a little bit more linear, but still things are a little bit more spread out. But overall, I would stick with the more infantry-focused games. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's challenge. I hope you enjoyed. If you have another challenge that you would like me to try next, be it a weapon-based one with a crazy combination of attachments, or just a challenge that I've never tried before, let me know down below. But until tomorrow, guys, have a good one, and take it easy.